Did the Indiana Fever really lose Game 5? Or were they robbed by officials who simply refused to let them win? Think about it. Aaliyah Boston fouls out late in the fourth on what looked like a perfectly clean rebound. Kelsey Mitchell gets hacked all night long, no calls, plays through visible pain, and ends up in the hospital with severe cramps. Odyssey Sims? She's getting bumped, clipped, and pushed, and still drops 27 points like it's nothing. And yet, somehow, every crucial whistle seemed to lean Vegas's way. If you watched closely, you know this wasn't a fair fight. This wasn't a loss. It was a heist. The Fever battled through chaos, injuries, and questionable officiating, only to have the game and the series ripped right out of their hands. Oh, here's the question everyone's asking. What did Lexie Hull say after that heartbreaking ending? Watching her team's effort get stolen in plain sight. That's the part of the story the league hopes you'll forget. But fans definitely aren't letting it slide. Let us know in the comments what you thought of the officiating in this series, because the debate is just getting started.
I feel like this game, between the adversity but also the resilience, was just like a microcosm of this whole season, and did that in a way, like, you're like, oh, we've been here before.
Yeah, I mean, that's what Steph said in the huddle. Like, we're built for this moment. When Kelsey went down, and then we're challenging the call on AB. We've been here before, so it's just so unlucky, so crazy that had to happen tonight.
What if the Fever's toughest opponent in this series wasn't the two-time defending champs, but the referees and their whistle? Because that's exactly how this matchup started to feel. From Game 1, fans could see the pattern forming. Every time Indiana built momentum, every time the Fever made a push, the flow of the game was suddenly broken by a whistle that tilted possession right back to Vegas. IT started with little things that didn't feel so little. Once they piled up, Aaliyah Boston is getting tagged with touch fouls that wouldn't even draw a flag in the NFL. Meanwhile, Kelsey Mitchell and Lexie Hull were getting grabbed, bumped, and practically mugged on their drives, and somehow silence from the officials. By the end of Game 3, the imbalance wasn't just noticeable, it was blatant. The free throw numbers leaned heavily toward the Aces. And that didn't just mean free points. IT meant control. IT meant the Fever's defense couldn't build rhythm without risking another foul. IT meant momentum gone over and over again by the sound of a whistle. Even head coach Stephanie White admitted afterward that the inconsistency made it almost impossible to prepare. How do you draw up a game plan when the rules change by the possession? When a screen that's clean one trip is suddenly illegal the next? This wasn't just bad officiating. It was chaos disguised as fairness. And Indiana was forced to play through it every single night.
The ball goes up. Aaliyah Boston.
I don't think that's a foul.
To Indiana, and a late loose ball foul is called against.
Are you joking me?
Fans saw it first, and then even the media started saying the quiet part out loud. Something was off. What started as whispers in comment sections and Reddit threads turned into full-blown conversations on national broadcasts. People weren't just talking about bad officiating anymore. They were calling it what it looked like: bias. Some even suggested that Aces stars were getting special treatment. And honestly, the numbers backed it up. The free throw imbalance, the missed calls, the no contacts, that magically turned into fouls only one way. IT stopped feeling like bad luck and started looking like a pattern. This wasn't random. This was a trend that quietly tilted the scales of competitive balance all season long. By the time Game 4 ended, nobody could keep pretending it was a coincidence. The Fever weren't just battling Las Vegas, they were battling a whistle that kept pushing them backward. And if the first 4 games were frustrating, Game 5 made everything explode.
That shit was rigged. Like, the Indiana Fever fought so hard, but like, they literally had 8 injured players. They had 8 injured players, and Aaliyah Boston fouled out for phantom fouls, and they still got to overtime. Like, you can't deny that. Like, you can't, like, the Indiana, they did everything in their power to try to rig that game in regulation. And Indiana just didn't go away.
Imagine fighting for your season while it feels like every foul call has already been decided before the ball even tips. That was game 5 for the Indiana Fever. This wasn't basketball anymore. It was survival. Every possession felt like walking a tightrope over chaos, dodging phantom whistles that seemed ready to blow at the smallest hint of contact. Every surge of momentum was instantly cut short, funneled right back to the Las Vegas Aces. And yet, somehow, the Fever refused to fold, even as Kelsey. Mitchell was carried off the court, cramping and exhausted, and Aaliyah Boston sat helplessly on the bench in foul trouble. Indiana kept fighting, they clawed. They scraped. They forced overtime when logic said they should have been done by halftime. But you can't play 5-on-8 forever. Early in the second half, the tone was set. Boston was whistled for one of the softest moving screen calls you'll ever see. Watch the replay. She barely brushes the defender. Yet the whistle cuts through the noise like the refs were just waiting for an excuse. Moments later, Megan Gustafson collapses to the floor like she's auditioning for an Oscar. And sure enough, the officials reward the performance with another offensive foul on Boston.at that point. It didn't feel like officiating. It felt like orchestration.
This is some bull crap. They're going to just shove Lexie Hull and then say that's a common foul. Like, this is not unnecessary force. Are you kidding me? If this how this game's going to go, like, I'm sick just watching Lexie Hull get beat up.
That alone would have been bad enough. But the real knockout came in crunch time. 26 seconds left. Aaliyah Boston battling Jackie Young for a rebound. Pure hustle. 2 players fighting for position. The kind of play that happens 100 times a night. Then came the whistle. Boston 6th foul. She was out. The Fever bench erupted. They challenged immediately, hoping anyone would see what everyone else saw. That there was no foul, no shove, no advantage gained. Just 2 competitors going after the same loose ball. But the refs stood firm. Call upheld. Jackie Young calmly sank both free throws, giving Vegas the lead. And just like that, Indiana was forced to finish regulation without their all-star anchor. Meanwhile, Kelsey Mitchell, who'd been hacked and mauled all night, could barely stand. Defenders were draped over her every possession, hips and elbows digging in on every drive, and still no whistle. Her body told the story the box score couldn't. Bruised, battered, and completely spent. And the hits kept coming. Jewel Lloyd shoved Lexie Hull so hard that fans in the front row literally flinched, waiting for the flagrant review that never came. Nothing. Play on.at that point. It wasn't about missed calls anymore. It was about control.
3 things I didn't like. Look at that. Smacked her arm and her entire body. Honestly, could have been a flagrant foul. Dang. And then, why do they hit Howard in the face, but they don't review these and give him technicals like they do on the Fever? And then we all saw that one. They called that a basketball play. Bullcrap.
Natasha Howard took a swipe right across the eyes. No whistle. Odyssey Sims absorbed hit after hit all night, even clipped on a drive in overtime. And somehow she was the one called for initiating contact. The box score didn't lie. 25 fouls on the Fever. Meanwhile, Vegas practically set up camp at the free throw line.
Sims, the push shot, banks in! It's a 2-point game!
Aya Wilson alone made 10 trips to the stripe. Aaliyah Boston, who spent every possession battling under the rim, got just 2. You didn't need analytics to see the imbalance. It was right there in front of everyone, and yet Indiana refused to fold. Short-handed, out-called, and missing their leader in the paint, they fought back. Odyssey Sims turned into a one-woman engine, erupting for 27 points, dragging her team back from the brink and forcing overtime. The Fever didn't survive because of luck or whistles. They survived because they flat-out refused to hand Vegas the win.it. Wasn't just resilience, it was defiance. And that defiance defined them far more than any scoreboard ever could. Because what made this team special wasn't how they endured corruption, it was the fire every single player brought when everything was stacked against them.
For fire, she's our battery. She's moving great and she will drive us, and that's been true so far.
Thank you, Hal. Sims, pull-up jumper, she got it.
Sometimes the most powerful victories don't show up on the scoreboard. They live in the hearts left on the floor. Game 5 was supposed to be about survival. Instead, it became a statement, a showcase of players who refused to be broken by bad calls. Their effort, their toughness, their unity, All of it painted a picture that the final score simply couldn't capture.
Physicality to finish over smaller defenders.
Howard turns the corner, whips a pass. Hull gives it up. Sims connects on a three. Odyssey Sims now with 12 points.
Look at Odyssey Sims, at a player who wasn't even on the roster for most of the season, signed late on a hardship contract, suddenly became the heartbeat of Indiana's playoff RUN.IN Game 5. She delivered a masterpiece. 27 points, 6 assists, and 50% shooting from the field. She broke down defenses, finished through uncalled contact, and never stopped attacking. Then came the moment. A fearless drive, a layup in traffic, a tie game. Overtime. Hope. Sims wasn't just keeping the Fever alive, she embodied everything they stood for: grit, passion, and fearless belief when no one else gave them a chance.
Can't hit the mid-range. Mitchell pursues the board. Another chance for Indiana. That's been a theme in the early going. Mitchell, a three is good. More second chance points.
Right around the rim.
Mitchell, an open look. She got it from three. And again,
Back in a zone, that twofold.
Mitchell connects on a three.
And then there was Kelsey Mitchell, reminding everyone why she's one of the most dynamic guards in the entire league. Before her body gave out midway through the third quarter, she was electric. 15 points, a perfect 3-for-3 from deep, slicing through Vegas's defense like it was nothing. Even as defenders shoved, hacked, and swarmed her on every drive, Mitchell never flinched. She came into that semifinal as the offensive leader and left it as a symbol of fearless determination.
15. Lob it in. Boston. So effective in game 4. Trying to work Wilson on the follow. It's 3. Around and off. Howard trying to tip it. Able to scrape it away. Another extra possession for Indiana. Mitchell, that space didn't take. Boston lays it in.
And, of course, Aaliyah Boston, the anchor in the paint. Even with foul trouble robbing her of minutes, she still made her presence felt on every possession, scoring, rebounding, demanding the ball in traffic. She played through relentless contact, never stopped battling, and never stopped believing. The numbers won't show what she endured, but anyone watching could see it. Boston carried the front court on pure willpower.
Here's Sims. Weaving. Hull dishing. Boston lays it in.
Even with everything stacked against her, Aaliyah Boston still left her mark on both ends of the floor, scoring in the paint, anchoring the defense, and keeping the Fever within striking distance. And then came the breaking point. Her sixth foul, a brutal phantom whistle in the closing moments, sent her to the bench for good. That moment summed up the entire series, a dominant player doing everything right, only to have her chance ripped away by a call no one could justify. It wasn't just a foul. It was the symbol of a fight that never felt fair.
Defense! Lob it in. Howard. Out to Hull. 6 to shoot. Hull banks it in.
Lexie Hull delivered the kind of performance fans remember long after the final buzzer. Playing through a painful back injury that would have sidelined most players, she still poured in 12 points, grabbed 7 rebounds, and dished 3 assists. Her defense was relentless, jumping passing lanes, diving for loose balls, and cutting off drives before they even started. Hull didn't just play through pain. She thrived through it. Every possession she fought for felt like a personal challenge to the system that kept trying to knock her team down.
I think that's something we can take away from this season. Obviously, ending on a loss is hard and not what you want, but I do think that we can be proud of the effort we put out there, especially in the fourth quarter, losing Aaliyah, losing Kelsey. I don't even know if that was the third or fourth quarter. But 2 of our biggest stars go down and we continue to fight and send it to overtime. So I think that's, we're proud of ourselves. We're proud of that fight. And it's just sad to see this group.
But it wasn't just about the stat line. After the game, Lexie Hull became one of the strongest voices demanding accountability from the league. She didn't hold back, calling out the officiating inconsistencies and standing up for her teammates when it mattered most. Her toughness on the court and her honesty off it showed exactly why Fever fans are ready to rally behind her for years to come. She wasn't just playing injured, she was making a statement. This team deserves better, and that leaves one big question. What exactly did Lexie say about that heartbreaking stolen game?
One Las Vegas run. They have their largest lead of the quarter. Boston finds Turner. Turner didn't want to shoot it. Petty will, and knock it down. The stats have not been gaudy, but the decision-making has been excellent tonight from Greg.
Yes.
Petty, they need it. They've got it.
Shea Petty was another quiet hero in the chaos. With 13 points and 3 huge three-pointers, she became the spark when the Fever's offense needed it most. After Mitchell went down, Petty's shooting stretched the floor, forcing Vegas to defend every inch and opening up lanes for Odyssey Sims to attack. Those minutes mattered more than the box score could ever show. Without Petty's confidence to take those shots, Vegas would have buried Indiana under another whistle-driven run.
Hey, you know, it's sad. I think, especially when you push a game to overtime and you fight for so long, your expectations are to win, obviously, and so to lose is sad, but I think arm in arm, all of us together, we can look at each other and be proud of each other. So it's a moment of love, for sure.
This isn't the end of the story. It's the beginning of one. Next season, Caitlin Clark returns, Aaliyah Boston comes back stronger, Mitchell, Hull, and Cunningham represent the toughness and fire needed to build a true contender. Fever fans didn't just witness a playoff heartbreak, they witnessed the birth of a dynasty in the making, because while the Las Vegas Aces celebrate another trip to the finals, the Indiana Fever walk away with something far more powerful. Proof that they belong. Proof that they can go toe-to-toe with champions. Proof that a 6 seed no one expected to be here just pushed the defending champs to overtime in Game 5. Even while battling injuries, fatigue, and officiating chaos. What if the most important part of this story isn't how it ended, but what started it? The Fever didn't lose, they arrived.
Can win. This is a 0-0 game, 5 minutes. We do those situations in practice. I mean, it took everyone. I mean, O had an incredible night tonight. People just stepped up, and I think, you know, when we were starting that overtime, we all five, everyone on the bench, playing or not, we believed we were going to win that game. So I think that just goes to show you that we believe in each other and in ourselves, and yeah, and I'm just so proud of this group.
When you step back and think about what this roster endured, the story becomes even more unbelievable. The Fever lost 6 players to season-ending injuries. They had to rely on hardship contracts just to keep a full rotation on the court. Their most important piece, Caitlin Clark, missed nearly the entire season, suiting up for only 13 games because of injuries, and yet they never folded. They didn't use adversity as an excuse, they used it as fuel. Indiana beat higher seeds. They won elimination games. They marched into Las Vegas against a fully loaded Aces squad and refused to back down until the very last whistle. That's not the resume of a team still trying to find itself. That's the resume of a team that just sent a message to the entire league. The Indiana Fever have officially arrived.
How much did this continue to build that foundation for what the Fever can be next year, the year after, etc.?
Yeah, I mean, hopefully we have a lot of the same players back. You know, it's pro sports is another weird one where every season is different, teams look different, but I think every new player we had this season came into the locker room and felt that connectedness and added to it. So we were really lucky that we had built such a great culture here, and that'll continue year.
By all reports, Caitlin Clark will be fully recovered heading into next season. And here's the beauty of it. This Fever team already learned how to fight, survive, and win without her. That experience is priceless. Now imagine Clark stepping back into a lineup that's playoff tested, battle hardened, and bonded through adversity. That's not just a comeback. That's a warning to the rest of the league. The playoffs gave Indiana scars, yes, but they also gave them belief. This run wasn't a fluke. It was a preview. The Fever's championship window isn't something in the distant future, it's swinging open right now. They may have been robbed of a finals berth, but what they built was bigger than one series. They proved they could challenge a dynasty, even shorthanded, and still refuse to break. That's who they are now, gritty, unafraid, and relentless. And that identity will define their march into 2026.S. Oh, don't let this moment fade. Stay loud. Stay vocal. Call out the bad officiating, share the story, and keep backing this team because their fight deserves support just as much as their victories. The Fever are coming back stronger, hungrier, and this time they're not just chasing the finals. They're chasing redemption. Let us know in the comments what you thought of the officiating in this series, and if you believe Indiana's rise is just beginning, hit like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss what's next. Click the video on your screen, and we'll see you in the next story.